We're back. It's time to get into some Detroit Pistons discussions with our boy Detroit Kool-Aid, a.k.a. Brandon Dent, the one, the only, the man who covers the Detroit Pistons for Woodward Sports. We got some footage we want to play as we get into this because you were there yesterday, but you've been there, you've been grinding. Then you got some footage of Monty, spoke about Jaden Ivey, even though people at this network are trying to take victory laps for something that hasn't happened yet. You know, it's funny, but we'll get into that in a little bit here. Do you have the footage of Monty, Lucas?
Oh, yeah. Let me get the first video real quick.
You're good. And it doesn't matter what order you're playing, but here's Monty speaking to the media.
You got to look at Cade just more of an off-ball role during camp or in practice.
We did some today. Gillian had it a lot, and Cade was coming off of it a little bit with live ball situations. I think he's really effective when he has a live ball. He can see the defense without having to hound it and be hounded up the floor.
What's been your assessment of Jaden Ivey so far, the responsibility he has this off-season, including a new role through preseason?
It's too early to make like ironclad assessments, but he scored it in the first game and was getting to the basket. Last game he didn't shoot it as well, but he guarded the ball 80 feet. I've seen the ability, I've seen the potential. He's in a bit of all these guys are in new roles because they don't really know. I haven't declared a starting lineup or anything like that, so everybody's kind of thinking like, what's it going to be? And we said going into it, we're going to compete. We're not giving away minutes. And so I think that stress, I think it allows for guys to grow. And I do understand when you don't know with such a young team and a new group, I feel like it's important to figure out like who we are, and he's a part of that group. His role may be different, it could be the same, we just don't know yet.
Monty Williams preaching facts, talking about the starting lineup. He even said itself, we haven't declared a starting lineup yet, although some people would disagree with that. You heard it from the man himself. There's no official starting lineup. I want your takeaways, though, being over there, at least for some of the players he highlighted, Cade Cunningham, Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey. I want to start with Jaden Ivey because that's probably the biggest discussion here. Yeah. Just from being around the team, how has he handled this whole thing? Because nothing's official yet. And I love easy, but again, it's the preseason isn't even over. Like that's where the whole victory lap, Jaden's not starting, yada yada yada. It's already written, is a little premature. But your opinion, just Ivy, how he's handled coming off the bench in preseason.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was trying to pry out of Monty Williams with that question is, what has he perceived about Jaden Ivey? And he said that he sees the improvement. He says it's too early to make any ironclad decisions on how they're handling it because he used the word that he used also the first day of training camp. Mm-hmm. He's stressing, he's pressing these guys, and he's putting them in uncomfortable situations to see exactly who they are. And me personally, I think he's going to create a monster in Jaden Ivey. And Jaden Ivey, I keep telling people, man, new haircut, new marriage, new baby. Yeah. It's a new Jaden Ivey, and he's handling it way better than I thought he would. You look at some other younger players in here. I'm not even going to name the name. There are some other young players across the NBA who they couldn't even accept their locker being changed. Mm. Jaden Ivey right now is being put in all types of situations, and I think it's because Monty wants to be able to put his imprint on this squad. He said, like he did with Phoenix, break down all the egos. We're going to reset everything. There are no set starters except for Cade Cunningham. And Jaden Ivey right now is handling it like a champ. And
at least for Ausar, because I want to ask you about his defensive potential, because it's crazy to think that Ausar, as a rookie, you cannot take him out of the starting lineup because of what he can do defensively. That's already written. Like, he's going to guard the opponent's best offensive player. Me, Sean, and Troy talked about it from half court. Like, his ability in his maturity, too, at his age already, he's a player that I think intrigues me because it's not just that he's a great defender, Brandon. He does so much more. His playmaking ability. He makes an effect. The shooting is one thing, and I get it. You eventually want to see him be at least a respectable three-point shooter, but just that's what his eventual goal, playing next to Cade Cunningham. But, man, what he can do with the basketball as a forward, he's turning in, and this is kind of the future of the NBA, is just positionless basketball. Like, he's a forward, but he's got guard qualities with him. It's crazy for Ausar.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you started with the defense, but then you turned the attention towards what he can do on offense. Because the one way that you reduce his ability or inability right now to potentially shoot at a high clip is to put the ball in his hands and let him do what he does best, and that's play make. You heard in one of those clips that he said that Monty is testing Cade Cunningham in some off-guard reps. If you look throughout the first 2 preseason games, one of the things that I thought was brilliant was they had Ausar Thompson bringing the ball up sometimes as well. That, to me, especially with how efficient he's looking, he can play in a pick and roll. That, to me, is going to start to get the best out of if you do decide to start Ausar Thompson. And Monty did. He said, listen, his job is to be able to defend the best player. Because Monty said when he looked at the footage, when Cade was playing in those games, he was the one having to go out and try and defend the best player on the other team sometimes. And sometimes it wasn't his assignment. It's just Cade was like, man, I got this.
Right.
But the problem is that he runs his usage up on both ends of the court. So he said he wants somebody that can defend that number 1 player on the other team so Cade doesn't have to. And he wants somebody that can also take the pressure off of Cade, bringing the ball up full court. That's something that I believe Ausar Thompson can do both defensively and offensively, is help Cade Cunningham's usage go down and take better advantage of Cade hitting threes. I wish I sent that clip in, man. They went through a 3-point shooting drill. His shot looks tremendously better. It doesn't look as flat. He didn't miss a shot. The only player, so I posted it to Woodward as well. He didn't miss a shot. And so if you're able to get that type of working synergy between 2 guys that are 6'6" and taller in your backcourt potentially, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
No, yeah, 100%. So we can definitely talk about Jaden Ivey and Ausar Thompson, and obviously we like the future of this team. But I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think the pathway to this Pistons team getting those 35 wins, like you expect, and I would certainly be very happy with, is Cade Cunningham has an all-star caliber season. A, do you foresee that from him? And B, what is his ceiling this year?
Yeah, I'm throwing out a gauntlet. I want this team to improve upon Cade Cunningham's rookie season. That's what I'm saying, 35. Do I believe they'll hit 30 at least? That's what I'm believing they can get to, but I'm expecting them to push for 35, and it's exactly right. For Cade Cunningham to go out there and have an all-star caliber season, which is something he started to do last season, which is something he started to do the second half of his rookie season. He was putting up bananas numbers, and people just don't want to really acknowledge it because it's the Pistons. People believe he's just scoring on a bad team. He doesn't even look for his own shot first, which is something that I think Monty Williams is trying to probably get him to do a little bit more because he's an effective scorer. I can't necessarily say efficient just yet, but very effective, very efficient in the mid-range though. And I do believe he's going to have that season. Before he went out, he had that 4-point game, which was his 12th game, his last game of last season. The 3 games before that, he was an absolute monster, averaging about 27, 7 assists and 6 rebounds per game.
I like those. I like those
he was getting
numbers.
like 0.7 blocks, like a block per game during that stretch. And his season numbers in those 12 games averaged out to 26 and 6. That's what we were wondering, all last year when we were kind of going through the footage, through the shows, Jeff. Could he get to at least 25 and 5? Could he be that player? Yeah. He showed he could be that, and people still said he started the season slow.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. He started the season slow. He's playing on one leg, and he still put up 26 and 6. Like, dude, and he's healthy, 100% healthy. And I love this comment too, Mr. Ray. He's always preaching, man, facts about the Detroit Pistons. Says Ivey takes the pressure off Cade on the offense. Ausar and whoever we pick up as our long-term solution at power forward will be our 2 best perimeter defenders to alleviate some of that pressure off those guys, which is true. And at least for Ivey defensively, and this is what frustrates me about the Ivey narrative, and I see it, but I don't comment on it because that's why we have a show now to talk about it. Him being a bad defender, like Ivey being a bad defender, and people have to understand, like for Cade and Ivey, they both had years of they had a heavy workload offensively, and for a young player, when you are a rookie and you have a heavy workload, defensively, you're going to take plays off. It is what it is. Now, Ivey, though, with Cade back, Ausar here, they got more help around him. I think there's a lot of untapped potential for Jaden Ivey as a defender. And for people that are saying, he's not a great defender, that's why he's not starting, that's a bunch of BS. You can't teach 6'4", you can't teach close to a 7-foot wingspan. The guy has physical traits, Brandon, and with his athleticism, I think we haven't even seen the best of Jaden Ivey as a defender. I think he could be one of the better shot blockers at the 2-guard spot.
Yeah, when you look at last year and they were talking about this whole development year, when everything kind of went to crap and everybody got injured, like I think people forget Bagley got injured last year in the preseason. Cade was out after the 12th game, and Stewart, before the shoulder injury, had that stretch of games he missed because he jammed up his toe. That eventually put a lot of offensive pressure and offensive development on Jaden Ivey. And I don't know how much the focus was on getting him in his best position to defend, and he was still having to guard the best players, which he was out there with him. Now you hear Monty Williams in this clip today that we played, and he said, I actually see the improvement. I see that he's capable. 80 feet capable of guarding and defending effectively. So that's the thing. When we talked about that breakthrough documentary that that the Suns put out when Monty Williams was first hired there, the two things he did was affected instantly the team offense and the team defense, and put people and players in their proper and kind of like positions that work towards their skill set better. And that's what I see him doing with Jaden Ivey. The other thing here, just a small caveat. Whenever these types of like lineup things kind of happen, especially this early in preseason, I remember last year Rod told us, hey, just kind of wait on some things. And then boom, the Bojan Bogdanović trade happened. We were all sitting here wondering, why is Alec Burks starting? Why is he starting? And then what do the rumors start to say? Houston Rockets were looking to trade for him.
Yep.
That's one small caveat to think about.
Is there truth to that? You think there's truth to that? I don't think they should trade Burks just because of he's just a walking bucket who's a 40% 3-point shooter.
I like Burks,
but there's a lot of guys they got to fit in this rotation. I get that.
Exactly. Because he said he wants to go 10 deep, but there are literally 13 players that are rotation type players on this squad right now. So there's going to be some alleviation. There's going to be something that happens this year. Troy Weaver, and I posted it. I'm going to post it as well to Woodward Sports today. I'm going to do an article on it. Troy Weaver talked about the fact that he just wants to see what Monty can do, and then he's starting to kind of really take that sledgehammer to bust some stuff up and bring in those finishing pieces to this Detroit Pistons team.
All right, Kool-Aid. So I'm going to compare the Pistons really quickly to the Red Wings and the Lions. With this season's Lions team, we knew they were making progress the year before, but this year you almost saw from day one, this is a different team. Same with the Red Wings. I know we're only 4 games in. Last year they made some progress, but this year you're like, wow, this looks like a playoff team. This looks like a team that could even maybe win a playoff series. With the Pistons, are you looking for, on day one, are you going to be able to look at this team and them basically look unrecognizable from what they were last year in the positive direction?
I don't know if that's going to be day one. I usually like to go 20 games.
Sure.
But this might be one of those years where you got to see it early. This is something that I've asked a couple of the players. I've asked Coach Williams as well. Listen, how confident and how comfortable are you all at hitting the ground running? And the answers that we keep getting back from Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham are the 3 players I specifically asked, because I think that, and Ausar Thompson, because I think that those are the guys we're going to be really keying on. Really important to this. They say that they're ready. Jalen Duren spent most of his summer out with Cade Cunningham, not just at the Team USA stuff, but he said he went to Texas to be with Cade Cunningham to practice, get their chemistry up, because that's the one player that Cade Cunningham really hasn't gotten a feel for as it relates to the pick and roll. So if there's an opportunity for them to do it, I do believe they've been putting in the work. But it's tough, man. When NBA defense starts that game one, it's completely different. And their schedule to start the season, it's not necessarily an easy one.
No. Yeah, no, and for the record, because I see a couple of people in the chat, I'm talking about the Pistons in relative to their expectations. I'm not saying that from the day one they're going to look like a playoff team. I think we all agree in this room that we need to see some improvement, and I think all the parts are in place for them to maybe double their win total from last year, because 17 was a fugazi anyway. That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with
that's fair. That's fair. I do believe that this squad you were with me, bro, at Media Day.
Yeah.
How annoyed did Cade look? He looks annoyed. He's just like, man, I'm asking questions about who I am. I'm answering these questions.
I'm him.
He's like, I just want the games to start, man. Yeah. And that, to me, it excites me, because he's the guy that we want to feel that way. And this whole team follows after what he does, after what he feels, after what he's saying.
Yep.
And so this kind of see Cade Cunningham in this kind of, let's get the game started. Let's get going. I know people are like, oh, he's starting slow in preseason. It's preseason. They're trying to make sure Ausar Thompson can be up to speed. They're trying to make sure Marcus Sasser can get up to speed. Look how night and day from game 1 to game 2. Confidence and jitters. He was a little nervous at first game. The second game, comfortable. Very, very comfortable. So listen, man, this squad, I want to see this team go out there and push as if they want to win more than the 35 games. I want them to be annoyed. I want them to be not as distracted. And I think that Monty Williams is a really, really good coach at making sure to funnel the attention of his team to his voice and to block out all of the other noise.
Yeah, and this comment too, Extreme Shaft. What a name, by the way. He says maybe the Pistons should get rid of all their role players. Sam, what do you think about that?
Oh my God, you guys!
Thank you for shout out to Kool-Aid for joining the show.
You guys never even listen to what I said, so that's all right. That's all right.
Hey, flannel, I love the Pistons flannel, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes,
Actually,
yes.
I think it's a Red Wings flannel after what happened yesterday. He's showing D-Mac some love. But Kool-Aid, where can people find you?
Hey, listen, as always, woodwardsports.com where the articles will be. But at Detroit Kool-Aid and Woodward Pistons, anywhere you can find it as well.
There you go. Appreciate you, my man. You can find
you.
Brandon Dent does great work. You can find his articles, woodwardsports.com. Of course, Woodward Pistons. You guys are starting to, cook a little bit on Table Talk. We'll see how that trends. But people, stay tuned, man. Big things coming for the Pistons season, and Brandon Dent will be behind it all. We'll go to break. When we come back, we'll get into something I thought was interesting. E&E broke it down yesterday, and I